All right. Once this is folded, it'll allow those two pieces to meet. All right, I'm going to show you putting it in. All right, see this piece is in. Once it's there, it just kind of drops right into place. What we'll do is we'll glue it along. I started using more or less CA to glue this in. It's a lot faster and it seems to hold just as well as the Model Masters glue. Anyway, I glue along the top edge first, glue that into place along that edge, and then come along and glue it at the bottom. When we're through, what we're going to do is we'll take another piece of plastic, which will be supplied, and you will cut it to where you can close this box in, and that'll make that really nice and rigid and lock it in place. Okay. Once that piece is locked in place, what I would do personally is I would go ahead and remove the whole cockpit area and paint it, because that's the last thing that has to be added that actually locks, that needs to be locked in there square. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we're gonna move to next. I'll end up pulling this and painting it later. The next thing we got is a table for that area. Let's see, I laid it down here. Here it is. There is a table that was used. The front half was used for the navigator, and the back half, I believe it was more or less the radio operator observer. Anyway, what we do is the table comes in here, and you can see on the fuselage side there's a long piece here. The table comes here and lays right on top of that, and this corner of the table hooks into this corner of that piece. All right. So it lays on top and it'll be glued in place, and you can see the stringer for the fuselage side it fits right underneath it. All right, what we will do is you need to take this. It'll come in a piece that kind of looks like this. It'll be pulled, and you need to cut it out to where it's square all the way around. Okay, or squared off. Then what I do is I come inside of it and I fill it one way with 1/16 inch balsa, and then I came back and went the other way to make it nice and rigid. Just went around the edges and made a nice rigid table. And then when I took a pair of scissors and I cut away the plastic up to the bottom of there, and that makes your table nice and rigid. It's ready to install. Okay, from there I took and made a line from this edge here, 2 5/16, and drew it straight across. All right, 2 5/16. All right, what we need to do now is there was a wall on this table that partitioned the front from the back, and I've made a piece that'll do that. Okay, it'll be made the same way. It'll be pulled out 1/4 inch. It needs to be cut all the way around to where it's square, except for you can choose either end, and you want to leave about you can go ahead and leave about 1/4 inch to start off with. The 1/4 inch allows I've got a 1/4 inch dowel rod that comes up through the base here, and it will lay right along. It'll lay right along this piece here, and what that dowel rod do is this tab back here will let that lock into place. Okay, so we're coming up through the bottom, and we'll end up gluing this rod in there, and that locks it all. That will lock it all together. So what we have to do to the table is come in here and take this piece of wood and glue it. This is the curvature on here is the front half. So we're going to come in here and we'll glue this. And the best thing to do is have a nice flat piece of wood and glue this on it and make sure everything's 90 degrees and glue that in place. And I'll show you an example of one I've already done. This is an early one and I've already changed it out. But see, this is going to be at 90 degrees, and when it's glued into the wall, it'll come in here and glue just, let me back this up. When it comes in here to the wall, it'll glue in and just lock in right there. Glue to the back of the wall here and glue down the side. and that locks everything in place. Okay, and so that will be, you can do that after it's painted, or you can go ahead and hook this on and paint it, because once you put it inside, it'll go to its correct position. And then we'll bring the 1/4 inch dowel up through the bottom and lock into this tab here. Okay, that table's pretty easy. You just have to take CA and glue it, and just make sure that it's flush on the back side, and you do that by doing it on a nice hard surface as you glue it. Okay, that pretty much does the main construction of the front cockpit area. I'm gonna go ahead and get it painted. I do have the dash made, but I'm gonna show you the installation of it after I get this painted and get the pilot seat done and the cockpit area done there. So I'll get those parts together and I'll be back. Okay guys, here we are with the painted cockpit. What I've done, you can see the table here. I did have to move the hole back a little bit to make this fit correctly, but I'll have that fixed on your final prototype. Anyway, it all glues in, it all fits up real nicely. What we've got to do is come in here and make a decision now. On this side, you can see this little standoff here. On the real plane, it was a seat, okay, and it came up here and it was right beside the main seat for the pilot. Okay, and it had two positions. It could be folded down, or it could be in the upright position, and then it had two pieces of wood that came in here and made a V to lock it in place, or to support it. Anyway, so what you need to decide is when you get this piece, it'll be just like this. You need to cut it out as much as you can, or leave as much of the right angle as you can all the way around. And then I went inside and layered it with 2 pieces of 1/16 inch balsa, one sideways and one the grain going long ways. And then I made 2 little divots here to support the to hook the supports into. Anyway, so you need to make a decision on the end. If you're going to use it in the upright position, you need to cut that end off and make it where it comes out flush. If you're going to leave it in the folded down position, you need to leave that back piece, and then you actually don't even have to put the insides in it, or the balsa inside. You could stick it on just like that, where it's in the folded down position, so the engineer or the bombardier could walk through. So you have to make a choice. If you do, it was a brown seat cover. You just put it in here and then add supports to the bottom in a V shape. So there'll be 2 of them. There is this was an added piece of wood. There will be a place at the bottom for the 2 supports to go into and be glued in place. All right. When you paint this up, this is the RAF interior color. This big control panel was black. There wasn't, like, I guess it was an exit door. I can't find any labels to what it was, but anyway, it was a big door. And if you'll just, after you paint it, just take a real fine Sharpie and mark around it. I'd give a little bit of definition to it. Anyway, I've got the, let's see, where did I put the dash? It has the dials and everything. I'll splice plenty of pins in it so you can add that. The bottom down here, you have to cut it until it fits in place on top of the pedestal here where the pilot sits. Well, it'll actually be in this direction. You do need to come in here on the back side and install you a piece of a 1/16 inch balsa or 1/8 inch balsa, whatever, however you want to do it. But that'll give it a little bit of rigidity to be installed. Anyway, I'm gonna get a couple more things together. I just want to show you about the auxiliary seat here, and then we'll move along.